Business Connections Live, the UK's leading online business channel. This is Business Connections Live with Steve Hyland.
Hello there and welcome to Business Connections Live, the program for entrepreneurs, SMEs and also business owners. Now, on today's show, we're going to be discussing making a difference to society and helping citizens do more in their community by recognising and rewarding those who do good things. My guest on today's show is Deborah Childs. She's the founder and CEO of Novacroft, company you've probably never heard of, but I can guarantee you that probably in the last 48 hours, you've probably used either one of their products or you've been through something that they have made and built. It's the company you've never heard of until today. Deborah, it's lovely to have you with us today.
Good morning, Steve. Great to be here.
That was kind of a tease there about Novacroft, and it really is. It is a business that nobody's heard of, but you are absolutely huge, and what you do is massive, particularly in the transport area. If you had to sum up Novacroft in a minute, what would it be?
I think it's an organisation that's about smart technology, and it's about software solutions, and it's really around simplifying the complex using technology and getting great people together to make fantastic things happen, to make life easier for all.
What kind of products do you do?
So, for instance, for Transport for London, we are the backbone of their concessionary Oyster card. We do that around the country for other organisations too, and latterly we've moved into the charity sector, helping organisations like Royal British Legion.
So there you go, you go down the train station, you got your Oyster card out, and I take it as well that also now with touch technology as well,
Yeah.
That's all been implemented too.
Yes, yeah.
How many people work for the business? Don't say half of them.
No, all of them. They're a brilliant team, 260 and growing.
Fantastic. And is it the software that you design and you make, or is it the hardware as well that your business do?
We do both. So we have software for back office, web, digital, and also we develop hardware so that you can touch in and out of things. So if you've got a ticket, you can touch onto a device to load products, etc. And we also provide support through our contact centres and produce smart cards and mobile apps as well now.
Now, we're not here to talk about the business as such, we're here to talk about how businesses can interact with their local community. Before we get on to that, let's find out a little bit about you. There you are, you're the founder and CEO of Novacroft. But what's your background? Where have you come from? What have you done before then? Like a job interview, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I was born in Lichfield, lived in Shropshire most of my life. My mum had Labradors, my dad was an RAC patrolman, and lived in the countryside, and sort of growing up, struggled a bit at school, and really what was I going to do as a career, and I didn't really know. And through sort of careers advice at school wanted me to get into police force, etc.
Really?
But I didn't really want to do that. That didn't float my boat. And I became a bit poorly when I was leaving school. And then got a job working for an organisation in technology, and then got a job with Westinghouse, and it just inspired me in the things that you can do, and then moved into Apple, and my career sort of started there.
The rest is history, as they say.
Well, it's basically developed from there with looking at how technology is fantastic because you can simplify the complex. And if you can just look at it logically, you can do such amazing things with it.
What do you think your core skills are then? Is it organisational? Is it motivational? Has it been able to motivate people? Or is it been able to see the big picture, that kind of helicopter view where you can see how things will fit together? Don't necessarily know why they fit together, but you can see the big plan.
I think the fantastic thing in life is having a helicopter view. Having a helicopter view and seeing what are the challenges and issues facing society, and then what are the opportunities. And by looking at that, I think I've gained more confidence as I've grown in life, growing older, growing in life and skills and whatever. And actually, it's not just about that helicopter view, it's being able to prepare that into some kind of vision. And then the key thing has always been about finding talented people that are much cleverer than I am at making those things a reality.
What do you think the important thing is as a CEO or as a business founder? What is the core skill that you need? For instance, you said that you're not, yes, you've worked in technology companies. In what kind of roles were you doing in them?
Marketing, the development of markets, so looking in Europe, so Westinghouse looking at the European market, how could we encourage people to consider robotics in everything from health to car manufacturing, etc. So at the sort of research and development end of Westinghouse, and again with Apple as well.
So very, very diverse, really at the cutting edge.
Yeah.
What was the thing that made you go, right, I'm going to do this on my Todd then?
Well, it's two things. It was, so we're coming to sort of towards a new millennium, the end of the 90s, and seeing that the emergence of the internet and thinking actually it could do good things. And at that time I'd been seconded to an organisation that I would describe as less than transparent in the way that it operated. I thought there's got to be a different way of operating, a way of operating that cares for people and brings talented people together, a way that you can do good things and show transparency. And then also at that time, unfortunately, my parents were both quite ill they both suffered with cancer. And that was really the biggest catalyst to say, life is short, so you need to make it count for something.
It is that epiphany in that moment, isn't it? Is that you stand back and you realise what's important and what isn't.
Yes, exactly.
So that was the motivational thing, that moves you forward. You alluded to it earlier on that really when you were at school that you didn't really know what direction you were going to go in. Yeah. You found yourself, you fell into this technological arena. Yeah. Do you think we get it right now with the young people when it comes to the things that are available for them to do, what they can do with their lives?
I think we can do more. And what I'm trying to do now is actually say to young people to inspire young people wherever they come from. So quite a lot of children are marginalised and need help to recognise that they have talent, an innate talent in them. We just need to help unleash it. So I think it's part of my responsibility and other business owners and CEOs, etc., to do something to encourage a more sort of diverse range of career opportunities.
When you say this to other business owners, because obviously you're going to be a member of large institutions, people like the CBI and the Institute of Directors, when you vocalise those ideas, what reaction do you get back? I
think actually things are changing, that there's quite a lot of people recognise that it's important. The challenge is a lot of organisations and a lot of leaders work in the current and not in the future, and you have to have a nice mix of the both. And talking of people who answer to the city, most of the time it's about the current situation. So that does not lend itself to thinking about what talent do we need for the future. And for our country, for other countries around the globe, we need to ensure we've got the right talent. And there's going to be a big shortage of skills if we don't do something about it now. So it is our responsibility to help children recognise the opportunities. And part of my responsibility is helping other leaders think differently about that.
Are you coming up against resistance when you are saying this, and do they just pay you lip service, do you think, sometimes?
It's quite interesting. I think over the last 5 years there's definitely a change in the way that we think, and I think that when the economy went down sort of in 2008, actually in some ways it was a positive. Obviously there's been some incredible challenges with that, but out of every dire situation comes fantastic opportunities and a different way of thinking. And I think that as a result of that, people are starting to think actually we do need to do more and think slightly differently in the way we approach things. So I think now that get listened to more about encouraging young people at school, because if we don't, they will be the lost generation. So we owe it to our next generation to do something about that. Otherwise, what will happen to our country?
What we're going to do, we're going to talk more about how you as a company have actually implemented ideas and the way you're working within your local community as well to enhance that. Is this something, though, for the large companies, or is this something that only businesses of a certain turnover, a certain size can do this, and small businesses really can't do it because they're just concentrating on making a buck?
It's a really interesting question. I think that when you first start out, there is a propensity to fly fish because essentially you've got to put food on the table. So you have an idea and you approach it and you need to get something to stick, so you fly fish. Well, actually, all the way along, whether you're a small organisation, a medium-sized organisation or a large organisation, it's a level playing field, because a large organisation has greater risk, you could say, has to look at a lot of different things to be able to ensure that it survives. So, and you've got more people working with you, etc., working together. So I would say the opportunities for the small organisation now are huge, and thinking about the challenges and issues facing society is a great way of leveraging opportunity for small businesses.
If you're a small business and you're thinking to yourself, is this something that really does apply to me? Well, maybe from what you've heard so far, yes, it is. Is it all inward looking as far as your business is concerned, or do you look outward? Do you see opportunities maybe perhaps in your community where you as a business can help? And we're not talking about, I mean, yes, there's always going to be this charitable element that you've got there where you look and you can help a charity. But for instance, there are organisations like Young Enterprise that are out there that are trying to educate young people in what business is all about. Now, as a business owner, does that mean that's something that you can be doing for Young Enterprise and for those students to educate them in what is potentially out there for them as they get older? It's going to be an interesting hour, this one here. You are watching Business Connections Live. My guest on today's show is Deborah Charles, founder and CEO of Novacroft. I'll tell you what fits in really well, Deborah. Last week we had a young lady called Kate Cook on the programme, and I'll read what it says here. I'll put the glasses on. Corporate wellness expert and author of the Corporate Wellness Bible, about how to detox your diet for maximum performance at work. Lovely aspect, lovely attitude to the way large businesses work. You as a business, when it comes to wellness within your own organisation, is that of importance to you guys?
It's vital. Wellness is about how you feel inside, self-esteem, self-worth, well-being. And for me, if you've got every team member feeling that they belong, feeling confident, feeling happy in some way, then they're more likely to contribute and make a bigger impact on society together. So it's really important. It's important if I was talking to somebody about finance, for instance, somebody that didn't believe in this, if you look at the numbers, if you can help people feel that they belong and they can contribute and feel valued and appreciated, then of course you're going to have less attrition, less absenteeism.
Well, it was all about wellness last week. If you want to find out more about Kate, you can go to her website. But if you want a bit of a tease, it was the second show she'd been on here on Business Connections Live. Kate's got a lovely attitude to it. Her attitude is, I'm not going to ram this down your throat. It's not mandatory for you to actually go out there and to follow the rules that I'm going to say. You can take it or you can leave it. But what she says, if you take it, you'll feel better about yourself. And if you're implementing it into a business structure, then your business will perform better. It was a great show. If you haven't had a chance to watch it yet, here's a bit of a tease of what happened on last week's edition of Business Connections Live. My guest of today's show is Kate Cook, corporate wellness expert and author of the Corporate Wellness Bible.
It's all about choices, and I think actually sometimes it's around not really knowing how to make the right choices to be very dynamic in business. It's actually your biggest resource is you. I think that's the thing, which is to measure it, and I think that's where a lot of companies, again, they don't get engaged in wellness because they actually haven't measured it to start with. So in other words, they just don't know know what it is they are trying to achieve with it. At the moment, there is a lot about wellness and a lot about corporate social responsibility, and you know, it's going to become a much bigger thing in the future. Trouble is with a lot of business owners is that the business comes first. Everything else comes first. The emails come first. You know, reactive. You're extremely reactive, especially if it's your own business. Well, I think the first of all is the phrase detox. I think it's a handy marketing package where, you know, people fling quite a lot of stuff into, you know, detox and what, you know, sort of like, let's just fling it in there. So it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. In the medical world, detoxing doesn't really mean anything. I mean, in terms of, unless it's a serious medical detox in terms of alcohol or, you know, that you're trying to detox somebody who's an alcoholic. But actually, in terms of just an everyday kind of like, I am detoxing, I think it doesn't really hold much sway with the medical community. I really think it's about that education bit. I really think, and as I've gone on, actually, I mean, even as a nutritionist, I've thought, oh my God, you know, this, you know, things like glyphosates in our, you know, on our glyphosates, which is it's a kind of, well, it's a series of, it's a chemical weed killer basically that's put on our crops. You know, you're thinking, this is really interesting. Glyphosates actually are pretty toxic, so why have we got them on our cereals? Nutrition is the one way you can say, right, well, in this section of my life, actually, do you know what? If I choose to eat you know, and change the way I eat, this could help my body with the onslaught of the other stuff that I can't control. You know, it's like panning out on a camera and saying, okay, don't just pick on the drink. Pan out and say, okay, well, let's actually look at the whole of this, so much looking at it much more holistically and saying, right, the first thing that needs to change is the work structure. You know, the way we're working isn't working. Getting in at these hours, doing these hours, multitasking on technology, all of that side isn't working. So once you kind of figured out that kind of structure, then you're saying, okay, what's the next thing? Well, the next thing is just get some real food. It doesn't have to be organic at that point. You know, the next thing is, right, let's eat the breakfast, you know, just get that piece in. So you're actually just building. It's like almost like having a jigsaw puzzle and knowing what the picture is going to look like, and actually just trying to put the picture in to make a whole picture, as opposed to what people do is say, right, I'm not going to drink then, but you're going to still eat rubbish food, you know, or I'm still going to smoke. You know, it doesn't matter so much about the drink if you've got the other. I'm not saying it's a health product, but it doesn't matter so much if you've got the context and the whole right to start with. Hello, I'm Kate Cook and I'm a corporate wellness specialist and also nutritionist by trade. And today I would like to give you 3 tips on how you can start making that evolution happen for you. Don't think about revolution, think about evolution. So the first tip I would say is about the structure. So go back and look at your lifestyle and how it's preventing you at the moment from being healthy, whatever that is. It could be around making boundaries at home, you know, by going home on time. It could be about childcare. It could be about having more fun in your life at weekends and not working. And definitely around technology. Our brains are not designed to operate these technology machines all the time. And it has an impact on our nutrition because it takes away our micronutrients away from our kind of pot that we can access. So make a change around that. And how you do that is, and this isn't a product placement, folks, but go to Paperchase and buy yourself a menu planner. It's £8 or thereabouts to buy yourself a menu planner from Paperchase. Then plan out what you're going to eat. Instead of that, getting home and looking in the fridge and finding nothing there, okay? And wondering who's nicked it. You know, Dobby the house elf, has he been round? You know, nicked all your food? No, you didn't plan it. So that's the first thing. Second thing, get a nice hot meal, especially around this time of year. Look into having I've got a crock pot, but it's a slow cooker. You chop up the stuff, it takes you 5 seconds, and you've got, well, 5 seconds, but you've got this beautiful, hot, wonderful steaming meal as you come in, and it's absolutely fabulous. So, and they're extremely cheap to operate. Dust it off if you've got it in your garage, you know, because it's been there since your wedding day. And the other thing is just eat organic. You know, if that's your one change, I would do that. Make it slow, start and taste the difference, and you will start making dynamic changes into how you start living your life.
Kate Cook, fantastic show. If you get a chance, do watch it. If you want to go to Kate's website, you'll find it here. She is at, he says without his glasses on, The Nutrition Coach. It's a great site, loads of great advice on there. If you want to find out more about Kate Cook, you can go there. She's got a couple of sites, in fact, that you can go to. But if you are running a business at the moment, you've got a lot of staff out there. You know, during that 9 to 5:30, those staff actually are your responsibility in a strange way. They're not just there to be working for you. Imagine if your staff are running only at 50% efficiency, and by a few tweaks, a few changes, a little bit of care and attention, you could increase their efficiency. All of a sudden, you start to see a true financial benefit to the business. And of course, the nice thing about that is it's going to be a benefit to you, but it'll be a benefit to them. They're going to feel better about themselves, and maybe you can throw more money at them. Sounds great, doesn't it? Kate Cook there. She was on last week's edition of Business Connections Live. You are watching Business Connections Live. My guest on today's show is Deborah Charles. She's the founder and CEO of Novacraft. If you've never heard of Novacraft, they're the biggest company that you've probably never heard of. If you just go to their website right now, you'll see this is their website that we've got. And as we go down there, Novacraft, load more. But what they do a lot of the technology that surrounds things like Oyster cards and taking payment for journeys and things like that. They've been around for a while, and quite an innovative company, an innovative organisation. And we're going to talk a little bit more about how they actually influence the people that work with them, but also the society that's around them, the citizens that are nearby to them. Deborah, we've got a few areas. Innovation in technology, how can it be used to make a real positive impact?
I think the fantastic thing about innovation is about technology. It's about simplifying the complex. And from the very beginning, we've looked at where are the areas of challenge. So the fantastic thing in energy, we made a difference. We enabled many millions of people to have fuel-efficient vehicles and fuel-efficient homes by providing a grant. And we sped that process up considerably. And then when we moved into transport, we enabled people to get concessionary Oyster cards. It used to take 48 days, and we turned that around to 24 hours. That was a major change in the transport industry. And it's making life easier for everybody, which is where we come from. And today, I think really, when the economy changed, it gave us an opportunity to look at what are the challenges. If we've got people were being made redundant left, right and centre, self-esteem very low, so well-being at an all-time low. We've got people children and young people not into education or employment. Lots of challenges, businesses going out. What could we do to make a difference? And I think that was the kind of amazing opportunity for us to say, actually, just because we're a smallish organisation in the world of business, it doesn't mean to say we can't have a meaningful contribution. So we set our sights on making a measurable impact on GDP. So we use technology now in terms of bringing community together to reward and recognise and appreciate people for the things that they do by major brands to have a positive impact on GDP. And that could mean anything from reducing the amount of people in hospital beds to impacting on footfall in retailers.
That's a tall order, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I tell you what, let's solve a little problem.
Yeah.
No, we'll solve a big problem. I mean, that is a tall order on the organisation. So what happens within your business to achieve that?
The thing is, so you start with what impact do you want to make, and sort of through 3 years, 4 years of sort of research and development and looking at talking to people in society, what are the difference, is looking at what do we want to achieve. So for an organisation, we want to make a measurable impact on GDP for the UK or other countries actually. How do we do that? Well, how we could measurably impact on reduction in hospital beds. We could impact on the amount of money that charities spend on administration, help transport, improve their return on investment. Transport is the backbone of economic growth, so we can do more there.
If I was a cynic, I would say that what you're doing, that it would be easy to say that what you're doing is you're looking for a problem that you can resolve and therefore sell more product.
Every business.
You raised your eyebrows there. Yeah. No, it's okay, because I mean, I may not be believing that, but if I was a cynic, I might say that.
Well, I don't know whether that's the right word to use, a cynic, really, because essentially we all have a part to play in society. My role is to try and do as much as I possibly can to do good things. And that's about, you talked earlier about our team. Well, we have a fantastic team. So if I can demonstrate to them this is the impact we can make, then we can yes, we'll sell our products. But that's about sustainability in terms of our own business. We want to employ more people into our team from our community to do more good things. So it's a cyclical thing, isn't it? By trying to impact on society in a positive way, we're helping our team grow. And of course, we have to make profit to be able to do that, to invest, to reward our team and to get new team members in.
Kind of going back to what we were saying about the wellness. Yeah. Look after your team, they'll look after you.
Absolutely. Do fun things, have some fun. Life is short.
How do you... I mean, there are a lot of businesses out there that have a real issue when it comes to engaging their workforce right across the board, and you're always going to get the doubters, the unbelievers within a business. How do you engage your workforce to be behind you on this?
Well, I think that probably the key in the question really is it's not that they're behind this, it's
they're
that they're in front of it and they own it, and it is whatever anybody says. With a team of people, as it grows, the values of the organisation are really important, and keeping that cohesion is challenging. It's very hard to ensure you've got that, and it's about a sense of belonging in doing things together that people can see the value of what they're doing, they can feel appreciated. So the products and services that are behind everything that we want to do are the kind of things that we address internally with our own team. You mentioned staff earlier. We don't call any of our team staff. They're all team members, and that's vital because that's part of a...
Was there a moment in the development of the business when this came about, or was it from day one that was your vision for the business? Did it just happen over a period of time, and all of a sudden you thought, actually this works better if it's working like that?
Well, right from the beginning, it was always about... I could see this lack of transparency in the way that traditionally businesses worked. I thought that's not right. It's not really valuing individuals. We need to do more about that. And really, probably halfway through my business, I started to realise that actually something inside me that was really important, which is about what's my legacy, and I want to have demonstrated an impact on society. So I've always wanted to bring corporates, the arts, sports and various groups together, sectors together, to help people who've lost their way make a meaningful contribution. So when the economy went down, actually I thought, we can do this in a way that's measurable and is good for everybody. So that idea actually manifested itself through the opportunity that came about through challenging situations.
I mean, we've talked there about the innovation and technology that can be used to make the positive social impact. We kind of alluded to the importance of well-being to society and how business can make a difference. Do you think businesses truly can make a difference then to society? And when you say society, are we talking about local impact, or are we talking about a bigger, broader picture than that?
Well, the word community could mean the whole globe, couldn't it? Or it could mean the UK, it could mean a region, it could mean a very small village or a small location. And for us, so we might be talking regional, so part of and countrywide. So, for instance, with transport, what we want to be able to do is encourage people to get active, walk, run, cycle, use public transport, and get people to the places they need to be, and that's important. And
are there examples of what you've done locally within your community that you can tell us about?
We have a pilot starting, a couple of pilots starting in the next couple of months, which will have a significant impact on actually the whole of the UK, which we're very excited about. So we're putting all of our investment into, well, not considerable.
Are you allowed to talk about it?
I can't talk about too much.
You'd have to kill me.
What I can say, it's all about...
I can tell you about it, but then I'd have to kill you.
Slowly.
Slowly. Thank you very much. Okay, right,
so
okay.
It's all about encouraging people to get active. So walking, running, cycling, volunteering, learning and using public transport, and to feel appreciated for those things. and then getting those rewards and then providing that measurable impact on society and showing a demonstration of reduction in hospital beds, an improvement in footfall, and increase in ridership on public transport.
We are becoming a very docile, chair-bound society, aren't we? Do you think that's probably the biggest problem that as a society, as citizens nearly, that the country's got, that we are very chair-bound?
I think there's an upsurgence of people wanting to start to do something.
There's a difference though between wanting
and actually doing something. What we've found is if you can encourage people to move maybe from a sedentary position to just doing a little bit, whether that's getting active in terms of physically or whether that's learning something, participating in something, feeling that they belong to something, then it does make a meaningful impact. Just small steps and working with others, talking to others, sharing things has a really good impact.
Now, I know before we started the programme we were talking, because I've got the iWatch and you've got one as well.
Yeah.
And of course we both kind of agreed that it's a great piece of technology.
Yeah.
And when the problem comes along that it's been designed for, we'll all be very happy.
Yeah.
But of course on that, it's forever buzzing on my wrist, time to get up for a minute, time to go for a walk. You know, it's always reminding me of how little I'm actually doing to keep in shape. I mean, is that the kind of way that technology can have an impact on us?
I think the challenge with technology, it's fantastic, and if you look at sort of smartphones and mobiles per se, you'd be stretched to find anybody who didn't have one of those now, and that's been over the last 10 years. And when you haven't got it in your hand, you feel like you should pick it up and do something with it. So whilst it's helpful, it's not the answer to everything, but it's a means to an end. So if we can reach out to people through digital ways and through face-to-face in their community and inspire them to do more, then that's a good thing. And that's just a way of them, because of sort of behaviours now, having your phone there or your laptop or whatever is just a way of saying, what did I do? Oh, wow, I've done more. Look where I am, here's my friends, they're going to go to this event and I'm going to go to it.
I know when I talk to my dad and I say, what have you eaten today? He'll say, I've barely eaten anything. And if you were to analyse it, he's eaten tons. And I suppose there is that kind of thing, isn't there, about the amount that we exercise. On the website it says you can do it. I'm going to find out more about that in just a few moments' time, if I may be so bold.
That'd be fantastic, yeah.
And I love that line there. I'm going to have to kill you, but I'm going to do it slowly. You see the kind of woman that I'm facing against today here on the programme. Hope you're enjoying the show. My guest today is Deborah Charles. She's the founder and CEO of Croft. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about how large businesses and small businesses can actually help the society that they're actually working in and how they can gain benefits, and so can society as well. You're watching Business Connections Live. Great to have you with us. We're live as always on a Monday. If you're finding the show really engaging, I'd like to think that maybe all your lot are watching it back at base.
Well, they might be. They'll probably be busy.
She says, get back to work as fast as you can and stop watching this. If you are finding it engaging, though, thinking to yourself, there is a thought that's going around at the moment that in 5 years' time, websites are going to look completely different. If you've got a website at the moment and maybe what you're doing is you're collecting names, addresses and things like that, and you are connecting, maybe using a CRM and you're sending out a newsletter, is it engaging with your target audience? In 5 years' time, they reckon that all websites are going to look like multimedia TV channels. That when you go to the website, you're going to be taken in not taken in, but you're going to be engaged by what you see and what is being delivered to you. We are a strange society when it comes to the way that we use our websites. I don't know whether you've noticed, there's a little rant I had before. You will see websites that have got loads of text on them, expecting you to read it. And then what actually happens is that you might get one of these whiteboard videos, which strangely is a video, yes, but it's got loads of text that you've got to read on it. So you're turning your readers into readers, which doesn't seem to be quite right. That's why video is such a powerful medium for you to actually use on your website. You need to be starting today, you need to be considering it today. So instead of having readers that come to your website, why don't you engage them and have viewers? Every night we go home, we sit down and we watch hours of TV that is engaging. Imagine doing that with your business. We offer it as a service. If you think today's programme is engaging, completely branded, could be especially for you. We call it Your Brand TV. Still sending out conventional newsletters to customers?
Do you just want a more engaging way to talk to your customers and employees?
Hello, I'm Steve Hyland.
And I'm Linda Bazant of Business Connections Live.
Your Brand TV is a completely branded television show that can be streamed live or delivered on demand to your niche audience. Be the first in your market to capitalise on the online media gold rush that is using online video to effectively deliver news, information and education to key personnel and clients.
Video attracts 2 to 3 times as many monthly visitors. It doubles their time spent on your site and has a 150% increase in organic traffic from search engines. Large networking organisations are already utilising the power of Your Brand TV to market, promote and publicise to their members and groups across the UK.
Your programme will be branded with your corporate colours and logos in your own broadcast quality network studio.
You can choose the format. It can be news or magazine or interview in its look and feel.
You can have live guests on your show or you can Skype them in.
You can stream the show live or on demand, so it's available for catch-up.
This is a chance to deliver your message in a new exciting format that will allow your business to cut through the noise and stand out from the crowd and engage your workforce and customers. This is Your Brand TV.
To get more information on this fabulous opportunity to bring to life your corporate communications, contact us today at Business Connections Live, the UK's leading online business channel.
Your Brand TV. If you'd like more details on that, all you've got to do is contact myself, Steve Hyland, or Linda Bazant, and we'll talk you through what you could be doing for maybe your viewers of the future. If you'd like more details, send us an email to this address. It is studio@businessconnectionslive.com. If you want, we don't mind doing this. You can actually talk to us as well. We don't mind that. Telephone number is 01784 256 777. And if you want to follow the consciousness, there is Business Connections Live on Twitter. Then you can just go to BCL Business TV and you can find out what programs are coming up in the future. Twitter's a funny old thing. Do you use Twitter a lot in your business?
It is quite useful, isn't it? In fact, it's getting better with the way they've changed it with the moments, etc.
You like the way you think, because a lot of people say that the life of a tweet is what, 10 minutes if you're lucky.
Yeah, I think it's probably less.
It is probably less. We know somebody that tweets 176 times a day.
Wow.
Needs to get a life. Quite frankly, honestly, I mean that's nearly junk, but a lot of the stuff that is tweeted is actually great fun. If you do want to follow us, please do. BCL Business TV. You're watching Business Connections Live. My guest on today's show is Deborah Charles, founder and CEO of Novacroft. We were looking at the website earlier on, and apart from the fact that it is actually quite an entertaining website, some good information on there as well. And I love the tense it's written in. There's a lot of websites where you go to them and they go, we're XYZ, we've got 300 vans, 400 people, and it doesn't tell me why or what it does for me.
Exactly, it's kind of like, so what?
It's a bit so what.
Yeah.
And your site is definitely not a so what site. If you want to go to the website, I'll give you the address. It is novacroft.com. It's a great site, some good information on there, and also what they're doing in their local community too. For instance, there's £630,000 saved by one concessionary travel card scheme. It just shows you that kind of social impact that the business is actually having. But on the side there, we've got our brands, Novacroft, Load More, Deploy Smart, and You Can Do It. And I'm intrigued by You Can Do It. Does that all fit into what we've been talking about by perchance?
Yeah. It actually does, yes.
So what is You Can Do It?
So I kind of touched on it earlier. It's around encouraging people to get active, walking, running, cycling, volunteering, learning using public transport, and getting rewarded and appreciated and recognised for those activities.
So who are you targeting? Obviously you're targeting it at the person that's going to do it, because you can, but who are the people who would organise it and make that happen? Is this talking to other businesses to encourage them to get their staff to do it? What's the process?
So, it's a big. We want to make a big impact on GDP by reducing the amount of people in hospital beds, for instance. And to start making a meaningful impact and increase footfall in retailers, etc. To do that, we need to start in pockets, so joining schemes up together. So our focus areas are transport, charities and corporates. And if I take charities as an example, we all recognise that in the charity sector, a considerable amount of their funds is spent on administration. So what if we could, through You Can Do It, reward and recognise their members and their volunteers for the activities they do, and streamline their activities in terms of the charity to reduce the amount they spend on administration. Do that, encourage members, recognise volunteers for the things that they do, and then as a result of that, charities will have greater knowledge of what their volunteers and members do, which will then encourage in turn greater sponsorship. And all of that's measurable. So if a charity is actually going to government for further funding, they've got data to prove what they're doing is beneficial. And therefore, more of the funds that they gather goes to the cause they're fighting, which in today's society is vital because we're coming potentially out of an economic downturn, and that brings with it the challenges of people that need that support.
You know, that's really interesting because I suppose I mentioned earlier on about CRM systems, customer relationship managers. I suppose we don't have a people relationship manager as such, do we? And I suppose that's what this, if you want to have a look at the website, this is from the page on that website. You'll see here, increasing use of public transport among target passenger groups. If you go down to the description that's written down here, and it's the orange bit, in fact, what Novacroft have done extremely well with You Can Do It is harness technology to drive social good and encourage social action. It encapsulates everything we try to promote, which I suppose kind of sums up what you're trying to do with You Can Do It.
Absolutely. If you take the transport sector, for instance, we are engaging in terms of train operating companies, bus operators, local authorities, government. And if you take an organisation called Community Transport Association, it's an amazing organisation that needs to, well, basically is there with a group of volunteers around the country that collect citizens, people from their homes and take them to participate in the community or to hospital and back, etc. These people do it out of the goodness of their heart, and they need funds to be able to continue doing that really valuable work. We can help them by putting the measurability in that. So if we've got volunteers working with the Community Transport Association, wouldn't it be great if we could get retailers, other transport organisations to recognise the value that that organisation is providing and their volunteers are providing by rewarding and recognising those volunteers? Greater sponsorship, new vehicles, etc.
Because the thing is, at the moment, a lot of that work is quite passive nearly, isn't it? Or the reaction to it is very passive. Yeah. You walk into a town centre and sometimes you wouldn't even realise that these volunteers who are working hard, they get no recognition whatsoever.
Absolutely. It's quite shocking. And you know, we use, we've got two characters, Derek and Stella, which I meant to bring with me, but they wanted to stay home today. Stella is our notional person who runs the schemes. So for Community Transport Association, she runs a scheme in Thistletown, which is sort of, you know, the part of our story, and Derek is a volunteer. And Derek, you know, he is, and these are real stories really, Derek is absolutely committed. He doesn't take holiday because he really loves what he does. And in one sense, whilst he's valued by Stella and that organisation, definitely valued by the people that he helps move to where they need to be, in one way he's not valued at all because he needs to take time off, and he ought to be recognised for what he does. And wouldn't it be great if a retailer or another organisation said, you know, Derek, there's lots of Dereks, wouldn't it be great if we could support you by providing another vehicle? And we can see that's right because actually you shop in our stores. Mm-hmm. So it's a win-win for everybody, and that's what we're trying to do, is bring communities together across organisations, public sector, private sector, individuals, improve well-being and make a measurable impact.
You see, I mean, what you're saying, it is I suppose as you're talking there, you're kind of thinking of all the circumstances and all the organisations that are out there that have an impact on our day-to-day life,
Yeah.
and yet because it's not joined up, because there's no measurement or anything
Yeah.
like that, they're not being as effective as they possibly could be.
Absolutely. And volunteers are amazing, aren't they? And
Yeah.
one of the other areas that I I'm looking at is the amount of volunteers in hospitals. They get treated like everybody else, but in a way they get treated badly because they volunteer, they put a lot of effort into it, and they don't get recognised and rewarded for doing that. They do in a local way, but not really.
Well, I suppose what people would say is that those kind of volunteers are getting something out of it because of what they're doing. For instance, I wasn't particularly well a couple of years back, and the volunteers that were in the hospital were a godsend, to be honest with you. They were the people that help you on a day-by-day basis get through it. But of course, as you say, though, they're only recognised by the individual on a one-by-one basis,
Yes.
and there is no way that you can show that to an institution or an organisation or a government of the effectiveness and how important that is.
Wouldn't it be great if we could? And that's, I think that's really important. Volunteers generally don't do it because they want to be recognised, but actually, in the long term, we need to be valued. Individuals need to feel that they have a purpose and that people appreciate them for what they do. And it's very easy to be taken for granted. If we can harness that and recognise in a measurable way the impact that individuals have, then that's good for everybody.
Do you think, I mean, okay, you're a business that's got the technology and that's what you do. So you've taken your brand, you've taken your business, and you said we can harness the skills that we have and we can implement that into society to do that. What can other businesses do you feel, to support what you're doing to a certain extent? Is it a case of taking the product, the brand, whatever it is, the power they have in that community, and using that? I mean, what can a small business owner, entrepreneur do you feel?
I think, first of all, look at your values. What do you stand for? If you know what you stand for, what are you trying to achieve? What's your purpose? And then what are your products and services that back that up? And then look at society and look at what are the challenges and issues facing society. And then look at how you can dovetail those together. So how can you make that contribution? And then in your own organisation, it's about organisational resilience. Products, processes, people have got to all be aligned to be able to take the risk of shifting from potentially a small organisation fly fishing for business because people put food on the table to making a meaningful contribution. If you make a meaningful, measurable contribution, the reward is a sustainable business.
I know there's a lot of high-tech companies that watch this, and I mean, maybe it's an opportunity for you to be thinking about what you as an organisation can do. And when I say, maybe large businesses, how can you actually bring the expertise, the experience that you have in the sector that you're in, and how can that have a benefit on the people that are just around you, the community that's around you, the society that's around you? How can your business, how can you somehow give, I suppose it's giving a little bit back, isn't it, back into society?
It is about giving something back, it's about leaving a legacy. The other thing is, essentially, side by side with a growing business, whatever you're doing, if you think first about what contribution are you making, then by the very nature of that, you should be able to provide your products and services to fit in with that. So it makes life easier.
Very briefly, we've got a couple of questions here. The personal well-being is good for the nation's health. We talked earlier on, we had a guest on a previous program, Kate Cook, who was talking about personal well-being. Within your organisation, how important is personal well-being and wellness for you?
It's vital. I think if we don't encourage, reward and recognise our team for the things that they do, then we're not going to be as able to do the things we want to do in society. So when we say making life easier for all as our sort of purpose, we need that to reflect that internally as well, which is what we do.
Hope you're finding today's programme interesting. It's interesting, while you were talking just then, the watch just told me Time to stand up, it's telling me. It's time to stand up. Well, I'll do that in a few moments' time. I hope you are enjoying today's show. It really is, it's very different from our normal programs where we're talking about business advice as such to increase and grow profits, or is it? Because really, if you've got, if you are engaged with your workforce and you are making certain they're in the best possible place and you're engaged with your local community, surely that is going to benefit both your business, it's going to benefit you, and it's going to benefit the people that work with you. Interesting concept, isn't it? My guest on today's show is Deborah Childs. She's the founder and CEO of Novacroft. You're watching Business Connections Live. Now, we're big fans of YouTube. YouTube, brilliant platform. That's how we get the programs out to all the people to watch. We set up our live stream YouTube, send it out there. Now, if you're using YouTube in business, are you using it as effectively as you possibly could? There is a tool out there, and this program has been made possible really to a certain extent by that tool. It's called YouTube Buddy, and it is a fantastic plugin that goes into your Chrome browser. When you're rolling up there and you're putting up your videos onto YouTube, are you putting the right tags on there? Let's have a look at a little bit of video that we've got, because there's a whole load. The Premier YouTube Channel Management Tool, it's a fantastic tool for getting the most out of your YouTube videos. Bulk delete annotations, you've got tag sorters, this is all for video SEO that's on there. Suggested tags, you've got promotional tools on there where you can connect with your community on YouTube. You've got Channelytics, which is a bit like analytics but a little bit better, and it's all from one plug-in organization called TubeBuddy. You know what it is, there are times, aren't there, where you will put the tags up or you will put the things like that onto your YouTube video, and you think to yourself, do you know, I'm not certain whether they are the right tags. Are they in the right order? TubeBuddy is going to help you get the right tags. It'll look and see what's trending. It will check to see if you're putting the right tags. It'll give you suggestions. If you haven't tried it yet, you can go to our website. I'll show you our website. I can do things like that. You can go to our website, and if you just go down on our home page, you'll see just here, you'll see that you can follow TubeBuddy. Fantastic. Oh, there it is. There's TubeBuddy just there. So just follow the link. Go to the TubeBuddy website, try it out. It really is very good. They've got a free option for you initially to try it out. TubeBuddy, it's a great way of increasing your reach when it comes to using YouTube. I must admit though, I think YouTube is fantastic. I sometimes wonder for small businesses if actually YouTube is spot on. I think we need a thing called YouTube Pro or YouTube Business, because I think the way they sometimes measure the effectiveness of a YouTube video isn't probably right if you are a business and using YouTube to use it. Technically, it is absolutely perfect, but as a platform for business videos, if you think about it, they're very happy for somebody to watch a video by Nikki and Sammy that lasts 3 minutes about how long they can hold their breath. And the analytics will say, yes, you watched it from beginning to end, and that'll make it a popular video. If you are a business owner, it may be the first 15 seconds of your video that your potential client wants to see. And YouTube will actually mark your video down because they haven't watched the entire video. And I also sometimes feel that maybe YouTube dictates this 2.5 minute duration. Here we are, this program will be on YouTube and it will run 1 hour, 6 minutes or thereabouts. So it kind of makes you think that, and I think you get marked down if you do long form using YouTube. However, as a platform, technically, YouTube, brilliant. And if you're not doing it on your website, you need to be. And if you're not using TubeBuddy, you need to be doing that as well. Here endeth the lesson. You're watching Business Connections Live. My guest on today's show is Deborah Childs. She's the founder and CEO of Novacroft. Keep calling it craft, don't I?
Yes,
Why do I keep
on.
doing it? Where does the name come from, by the way?
Novacroft was the name of my mum's kennel. She had Labradors.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's great to kind of carry that name forward. But also, it means
Bit of legacy
new
there.
pastures as well. So that's good for technology. But it's a yeah.
Well,
it's
the
a
Nova bit,
respect
of
for
course,
love.
makes you think technology, doesn't
Yes.
it? And
Yeah.
the Croft by the home fire.
Yeah, new pastures. It's
I quite like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe by the end of the show, I'll
Yeah.
get it right. Maybe. Now, the importance. Let's move on because Novacroft a big player when it comes to public transport. The importance of the future of public transport to the growth of UK GDP. You mentioned, you touched on it earlier on. Do you think we're getting it right as far as that's concerned? I mean, and how does it benefit business as well?
As we said earlier, transport is the backbone of economic growth, and you know it's an industry steeped in tradition, and they are actually in relative terms moving pretty quickly to link the UK together. And it's great for business, great for communities, because if we can get organisations to move to where the people are, or make it easier for people to move across country quicker, more efficiently and possibly cheaper, then that's got to be good for the nation's economy.
When you look at the European model, you go to a lot of the European countries, and it is substantially cheaper over there, isn't it? It really is. There's a big difference, and therefore it tends to encourage people. They think nothing of it. Yeah, going to go by train, going to go by bus, because the infrastructure is there. Do you think we've got a bit of catching up to do in this country?
There is, but with the Department for Transport and train operating companies and bus operators, they're all working in the right way to make that change. And where Novacroft's coming in is to make that measurable difference too. Is if we can help all those organisations know who their passengers are, and reward and recognise them, perhaps for walking and running and cycling and using buses to get to trains rather than taking their cars, then that's a good thing. So there's lots of things we can do in a measurable way to improve the return on investment for public transport.
Is it the efficiency, and is it the fact that you've now, we're forever having data collected about us? Is that data that valuable then, that by collecting it and knowing who the different people are, what will that allow us to do? Well,
if you think about it, with public transport, wouldn't it be great if you could improve the return on investment for a passenger transport organisation per pound? So at the moment, if they don't know who's using their transport, how will they know how many carriages to put on a train? How will they encourage people to cheaper off-peak travel? And therefore, if they can do all of that, then they can make it cheaper for us to travel around the UK.
So knowledge is power then?
Yes, it is, absolutely. It is absolutely key to it. And you know, I think with train operating companies, for instance, the more we help those organisations, the more they can help citizens in their communities get jobs. So, you know, regional regeneration comes from people who are train operating companies.
So where do you see the future of it going? I mean, obviously you're talking to some of the transport organisations and companies. Are they interested in that? Do they see the benefit? Are they going to be taking up on that and actually using that kind of information? They
know now that being part of a community, impacting positively on the community is vital, and they know that that's going to make a meaningful impact for them in terms of their return investment. It's very challenging being a train operating company. You know, they've got to put a lot on the line.
Well, they're a little bit between a rock and a hard place, aren't they? A lot of the time, they are perceived. Some of them will be perceived as the enemy, nearly, aren't they?
Yeah. Where actually they get vital contribution, and they are recognising now that having data, because of the calculations they need to do to win a bid, you know, I'm taking it down to basic levels, means that they have to take on a considerable amount of risk. So anything they can do to mitigate that risk is obviously going to be really important to them. What do you think the future holds for us when it comes to the technology that we use around our transport systems? What does the next 10 years hold? Is it going to be the fact, obviously we're going to be collecting information, and we've got to be careful about that, but we're going to be collecting information about who is using it and when they're using it, so that we can give added benefit to that. But what are the other technological advances, do you think, around the corner? I think transport's really exciting from a technology point of view, because it's all about seamless travel. If we can help somebody, wherever they are, to move from X place to Y place easily and efficiently, then that's where it's going. So it will be, you won't necessarily own a car anymore. If you need a car, you'll collect a car from wherever you need, and it'll be the car that's appropriate for you. It'll be easier to cycle to places, to jump on transport that's in the right place for you. And that's a challenge at the moment. Quite a lot of sort of the public transport network, you have to be able to travel to get on that network. So it's making it easier, really.
Do you think the money's there to allow that, or is this something that organisations like yours have got to do to work with the government, work with the transport service providers to actually get the funds available to do that?
I think so. I think what's interesting is trying to break traditions in transport and help them encourage maybe retailers to get involved, because passengers buy food or buy products. So why don't we as markets all work together to make a measurable impact?
I've got to ask the question, do you think a lot of this is doable?
Absolutely, it's doable.
You've got to say that.
Well,
No, I was only pulling your leg because that's the leading question.
Yeah.
So absolutely doable.
the thing is, if we have choice, there is a choice in life, and the choice is to make a positive difference. So we can help other organisations recognise this is important, not just for today, but for our futures.
It's all about the futures. That's what it's all about. And I mean, it's an interesting place to be, isn't it? Thinking about a joined up transport system that knows and understands what you as a customer truly needs to make certain that you can get to your work, you can get and do your shopping. I love the idea of the car. Looking at my old heap of a car at the moment. When can we start that? Tomorrow?
Ford are already on it. Ford have set up a programme where they're setting up pools and car clubs and things like that.
So it's
Big,
already here.
absolute shift in the way that Ford are operating. Their chief exec out is huge, and they're coming to the UK very soon with that approach.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Deborah, we always ask our guests who come on the program to give a few takeaways, and remember that the audience is like yourself. They're large, medium scale, they're large business owners,
Yeah.
they're SMEs, they're entrepreneurs, they're solopreneurs who are out there. If you could give a little bit of advice, just for a minute or so, on what the key things are that people should remember, everything from the wellness all the way through to how they can help and integrate more firmly into their social community and help them, that would be a great help. If you could look straight down camera number one, just tell me or remind us who you are and where you're from. That would be fantastic. The airways, Deborah, are all yours.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm Deborah Charles. I'm from Novacroft, and I've finally remembered who I am. Thanks very much. Okay, so I believe it's about making a measurable impact on society. So when we're talking as a team, we say, what does that mean, a measurable impact on society? And for us, by 2018, that means 100,000 less people in hospital beds. It means a £20 million saving for charities, so that more of their money goes to the cause they're fighting. It means 5 million people in corporates impacted on improved well-being. And for transport, it means another 5 million making their lives easier in public transport. So when I look at that, so what I would say is we start with that, what measurable impact, and then we work back from there and say, what does that mean for our team in terms of how we're going to help society achieve that? For us, that means 35 new clients, and we know exactly what they need to look like. We have an avatar for our clients in the different market sectors, and then we say, how are we going to approach them? And then the other side of that is about organisational resilience. So we look at the products and services that we have, and are they fit for purpose? And everything is about making sure they are as effective as they possibly can to be able to enable us to achieve. And that goes for our processes too. Constant business improvement, and above all, on top of that, with our innovations and everything to do those two things, is about people. We are looking for talent, we're looking for superheroes. Find the people of tomorrow and reward and recognise them and appreciate them. Understand the skills gap. Go out in society and encourage and inspire young people to take up careers in, so study STEM subjects and take up a career in technology. That's what we want. And then maybe one day they'll join Novacroft and help us make an impact on society. And above all, life is about being happy and doing things that you enjoy. And so if we can have fun in doing what we're doing and make a measurable impact on society, then I'm a very happy person. Thank you.
No, thank you. Indeed, it's been a real insight. If you do want to find out more about Novacroft, all you've got to do is go to their website, which I've got here. There it is. This is the You Can Do It. If you're feeling a little bit healthy, get out there on your bike. We'll just pop back to the homepage as well, just to remind you. It's been a real insight into what the business is all about and what your vision for the business is. I think obviously it takes somebody to be driven and to identify a need. And I think sometimes business owners, we are inward looking, and we don't look outwards, do we?
No, it's vital.
It's maybe time to clean those windows and open those doors and look at what's around us, what the surroundings around us are, and how we can help the community that we've based our business in.
Absolutely. Help the community, helps your business grow.
You know, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Steve.
For coming in on the show. And I hope you found it interesting as well today. A fascinating insight. As I said, if you do want to find out more about Novacroft, you can go to their website, novacroft.com, and you can read about all their different brands. Novacroft, Load More, Deploy Smart, and You Can Do It. And you can find out more about the technology. And of course, remember, this is a technology company that we're talking about here, but it's a company that is looking out through those windows and making certain that it has a true and proper impact into the community and the society that it finds itself based in. Once again, Deborah Charles, founder and CEO of Novacroft, thank you very much indeed for joining us on today's edition of Business Connections Live.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you very much.
Well, there we are. That's another show in the can. I hope you've really enjoyed today's show. Let me tell you what's coming up in the near future. What we've got coming, well, next week's show is Sophie Wilson from PHA Media and PR. You may have seen Sophie on the programme on the Christmas show that went out at Christmas, of course. And we were talking a little bit about PR then, and Sophie's going to be coming in and joining us next week. Do you, as a small, medium-scale enterprise, do you need PR? And if you do, what's the most effective way of doing it? What are some of the things that you can do, maybe perhaps if you're on a tight budget? But if you need to be talking to an agency, what should you be saying to them? What kind of information are they looking for? How do you maximise your return through public relations, and how do you go about doing it? Sophie on the show next week, and we're looking forward to that with some advice, hints and tips. And also coming up in the next few weeks, we've got Lara Squires of Consortium Marketing, Chris Nowanta, 21-year-old entrepreneur and CEO of Varumo, Greg Cooper from Front of Mind Coaching, updating you on LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn, always a very popular program. I think one of our most watched programs, around about 10,000 or thereabouts, with Steve Mills. And that was there's been a lot of changes on LinkedIn just recently. This is going to give you a bit of an update of what's going on LinkedIn. So that's with Greg Cooper from Front of Mind Coaching, giving us an update on LinkedIn. And also, Nigel Bottrell's going to be joining us on the programme as well, the man behind the likes of The Best Off and the Entrepreneur Circle. If you've enjoyed today's programme, don't forget, do give us a like. If you're watching it on the download on iTunes, that's fantastic. Give us a comment. Let us know what you think about the show. If you've got any questions or you've got a comment on what you've seen on today's edition of the programme, then please do leave them either below the programme on YouTube or go to the website at businessconnectionslive.com. Time to roll those credits, I think. That wraps up another programme. Listen, I do hope you've enjoyed it. Once again, my thanks to Deborah Charles. Until we do it all again next week when we've got Sophie on the programme, from me, Steve Harland, have a great week. Bye for now. Bye-bye.